Hi there, I'm Shannon Solange and welcome to my highly sensitive sanctuary. As highly sensitive folk, our sensory processing sensitivity makes us inclined to be deterred by certain social conformities. In this video, we will go over a list of things that us HSPs are sort of allergic to, or at least makes us a little uneasy. Let's go over them one by one, and you can share in the comments how much you can relate to each of them on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being not at all and 5 being very much so. Let's begin with small talk. This is one of the biggest highly sensitive person allergies. As HSPs, we like to go deep in everything we do. And one of the reasons that we dislike large social gatherings so much is because of all the small talk that goes on. I can't speak for everyone, but in my experience, there's just something off-putting about superficial chit-chat. I feel like I'm wasting my time, and I'd be better off at home with my nose in a good book or binging some silly shows. And I just don't care that much about the latest political developments, weather conditions, people's opinions on the stock market. But don't get me wrong, it's not because I'm not interested in these subjects. If we have the time to dig deep into these subjects, then I will absolutely be all ears to hear all about the ins and outs of this new world that will fascinate me. And I'll eagerly share about my world as well. It's just that when we stay on the surface of the matter, my mind gets bored. And I would much rather be discussing the true meaning of life, why we live the way we live, and why we do the things we do, on a profound level. Life's too short not to go all the way. This is of course not to talk down on others. I think that for most non-HSPs, small talk is actually the way in which they connect with other people. So for some people it has a different meaning, but for me it just has no place in my life. That's why networking events and happy hours with colleagues have never been high on my list. Even if sometimes this results in missed opportunities and even isolation. It's important to know for yourself what you're giving up and what you're gaining so that you can make an informed decision that you won't end up regretting. Another HSP allergy is gossip. Yes, gossip. Perhaps it's the empath in us that makes us feel bad about talking poorly about someone else. But then again, not all gossip is bad. Some theories suggest that gossip is an important trait in evolution, like when you see it as useful information that you can use to protect yourself. We learn something about the social world around us when we gossip, like whom to steer clear of. Gossip becomes bad when it's done with bad intentions, like when it's used for personal gain, or when it's riddled with someone's prejudice or judgment or lies. Which brings us to the next HSP allergy. And this is a huge one: dishonesty. Perhaps the reason that truth plays such a big role for the HSP is because we are so finely attuned to people's expressions and body language that we can easily pick up on their untruths. Or maybe it's because we are inherently honest ourselves. It's suggested that our deep empathy for others and our ability to place ourselves in their shoes prompts us to be more truthful. I've been painfully honest my whole life. So it kind of came as a shock to me when I realized that most people are not that truthful. And I learned the hard way that too much honesty can be a bad thing. I used to be quite blunt, but over the years I've learned to be a bit gentler with my truth. Just because you want to be honest doesn't mean you have to be thoughtless about it. A classic example is when someone asks you if you think they look fat in this dress or shirt or pants. Instead of a blunt yes, you can just answer, "Well, it's not the most flattering I've ever seen you in. What about that other shirt that you wore the other day that I liked on you so much?" Honesty is important for making real connections. Sharing your true opinions and emotions builds trust. When you show the world the real you, you will attract the kinds of people who, like you, appreciate honesty. But you might also attract the types of people that are skilled at taking advantage of this, like narcissists. It might just be a good idea to familiarize yourself with the traits of covert and overt narcissists so that you can recognize them and protect yourself. I've definitely had my share of experience there, and it's not fun. Number 4 on the HSP allergy list is more of an addendum to number 3. Exaggeration. When someone extends the truth, or their actions don't match their words, or they break their promise, it's hard to build trust. You might think that with my skills as a trained actress, I would be a natural at exaggeration. But to me, it just feels like lying, and I don't like it one bit. This brings us to the final item on today's HSP allergy list. Expectations. Highly sensitive people tend to be deep thinkers, and we often question the way society functions and our role in it. This can often result in a disconnect with the expectations of society. We do not oblige simply because it's expected of us. And when we do, we often end up feeling repressed or down without really realizing why. Perhaps it's the 9-to-5 grind that we cannot align with the traffic commute to go along with it. Or maybe we would like to homeschool our children so that we have more control over their upbringing and protect them from becoming working machines of society. Whatever it is, there's often an aspect of society that we disagree with on a profound level, and we tend to try and do things differently. Within our means, of course. We don't conform to society's expectations because we've simply given life too much thought to follow the rules mindlessly. Again, it comes down to seeking deeper meaning in everything we do. This isn't to say that conformity is inherently bad. It just isn't for us, because it hurts our highly sensitive souls. At least that's my experience as a highly sensitive being. Everyone has their own comfort zone, and in order to function, society absolutely needs all types of people. And one is not superior over the other. We just have our differences. And it's good to know where you feel most at home so you can stand up for your position without apology. Thanks for sticking around, and I wish you a non-conforming day. Do something today that's so you. Ayo. Is an important trait like when you use it, sharing your true, like when it's